cost of the fruit basket for the present time, or the current time, divided by the cost of the fruit basket for the base year, multiplied by 100. We talked about that already, right? So today we want to know the problems we encounter whenever we're using consumer price index to measure inflation and the price of the basket of goods. The first one, it only provides information about the amounts needed by a household to buy the same basket of goods at the same time of the previous year. You know, when we measure the consumer price index, we are measuring the amount we are paying on the basket of goods this year at the same time with the amount we paid last year for the same basket of goods at that period. That's what we are measuring, right? So, it shows us the amount we're going to spend, but it doesn't show us the amount of income we need or our levels of income. It does not show us. Do you get the point or not? What we're saying is that with the CPI, it will show us the amount we are going to spend this year based on the same amount we spent last year on the same basket of goods. But it doesn't notify us that our income level has changed. Because we might not be getting the same income we got last year. Yes or no? So maybe our income level has increased this year. Maybe it has decreased this year. The CPI will not show us about it or tell us about it. Do you get the problem with the first limitation about CPI? It shows us the amount we're going to spend, but it doesn't show us how we're going to source for that amount we're going to spend. Is it clear? Is it clear, please? Yes. Do we get it or not? Are you here? Do you get it? It shows us the amount we're going to spend, but doesn't show us how we're going to make that income, how we're going to get that income, or if our income has increased or not. It's just going to tell us that, this household is going to spend more than what it spent last year on the same quantity of food basket. But it's not going to say if the household has had an increase in its income or not. That's clear. The second one, the way to be adjusted to fit a typical consumer spending pattern. So it's not going to be generalized. We can't know amount each individual will spend. We can't. But because we want to calculate, we want to measure inflation rate based on the price level of the markets now, we will adjust it to suit a consumer. So it's not going to be adjusted to suit all consumers. It will be adjusted to suit some people, not everybody. Because what you're going to spend is not going to be the same as what I'm going to spend. The quantities I bought last year, you might know, the quantities I bought last year might not be the same quantity you bought last year. But we're going to base it on the quantity of one customer. Do you get it? It's going to be based on research. So research is going to generalize. But it's not going to speak for individual consumers. So it's going to be generalized. Is it clear? The third problem, in theory, individual household has their own inflation rate based on their spending pattern. So there's inflation rate in the economy, but inflation rate doesn't say that I will stop spending. I might spend more. You might spend less. High inflation means that there's a persistent rise in the price of goods and services, but doesn't mean I'm going to stop spending. But it might mean that you stop spending. So inflation rate is there, but it does not affect this. It depends on the spending pattern of individuals. Some people don't care because they have the money. They will continue to buy. Some will care because they don't have the money, they stop buying. So it will be based on what? Spending behavior of individuals. So inflation is there, but how do we spend? The way I spent before, maybe I'm not used to spending. So with or without inflation, I will not still spend. But you are used to spending. With or without inflation, you will spend. Do we get it? The last one, the index cannot indicate an improvement in the quality of goods. Yes, we're going to know the increase in the price of goods. Yes or no? We're going to know the increase in the price of goods compared to the previous year. But we're not going to know the quality that has improved in the goods. Last year we bought this marker for 1, but today it is 1.5. It's not going to tell us the quality that has been added to this marker. It's only going to tell us about the price we're going to pay for this marker for this year, which was not the same price we paid last year. Price will be known, inflation rate will be measured, but quality will not be known, quality will not be measured. Do we get the point? So, and the last one, okay, there are small, they said, it is difficult to include new products. When you have to compare the price of the food basket of last year to the price of the food basket for this year, if a new product has been produced, it was not there last year, so you cannot add it to the food basket to compare for this year. You only add goods that were produced last year with continuation with this year. So if a new product has been produced for now, you cannot add it up to the food basket of now. Because we said the cost of the food basket of the current year divided by the cost of the food basket of the base year. So if you are going to compare this with this, it has to be the same items. So if a new item has been produced or if new items has been produced, you cannot use it with the CPI. Because the goods was not there. The good was not there last year. So how do you want to include it to the item of this year? Do you get it? The next one. CPI excludes a lot of house items, which may include mortgage interest payment. Therefore, it will be misleading, as it cannot actually state the amount a household will spend to maintain housing costs. When we check this CPI, we're going to have food and other items, like we had it yesterday, right? Using your CPI, it doesn't talk about the amount individuals spend on housing. Because housing is wide. When you talk about housing, you talk about furniture, you talk about fitting, you talk about a lot of things. So you cannot put all those housing items in the CPI. As a result, it is misleading. I might have my own house on mortgage that I might have to be paying. And in the course of me paying my own mortgage, I have to pay interest on it. Yes or no? The CPI will not talk about interest. So how do you know what I spend? I will tell you this consumer price index. We call it consumer price index. House is also consumption because I bought it. Some people are paying rent. So how do we justify what we have spent over time when we are unable to know the figure for housing? Do we get the point? Do you get the point, please? So that's all about consumer price index. It's about consumers. So we have, but you know, most of the goods we buy from consumers are through the retailers. Yes or no? Most of the goods we buy from consumers are through retailers. Retailers. Most of the goods we buy. So now, let's talk about the link between the retailers and the wholesalers, which is what? Producer Price Index, PPI. So what does the PPI measure? It is used to measure the change in the typical basket of goods bought and sold by the manufacturers of an economy. So here we're going to talk about the prices of goods bought and sold by the manufacturers. Here, the goods have been produced. Now they are selling, it's been sold. It has left the factory gate. It's not in the hand of the producers anymore. That's why we're talking about consumer price index. But here, we're going to talk about the goods being still with the manufacturers. That is what PPI is about. Are you with me, guys? Producer price index measures the price of goods that are being manufactured. So we have the input price and the output price. So look at it here. So for the PPI, we have input prices, output price. For input prices, we have the price index for finished goods and the price index for intermediate goods. What are finished goods? Goods that are ready to be sold. What are the prices of these goods that are ready to be sold? They are price inputs on the PPI. Then we have price index of intermediate goods. We call them work in progress. They are about to be finished. Do you get it? They are about to be finished. But all in all, both the finished goods and the intermediate goods will leave the factory gate at the end of it to be sold to retailers or to the wholesalers. So most of the time we call our PPI wholesale price. Do you get it? Because the channel of distribution is from the producer to the wholesaler. So the wholesaler is who the retailers would see most of the time before we can see the retailers to buy from. So, what does the input price measure? I wrote, they measure the price of materials and fuel bought for processing by manufacturers. So, the goods will go on to processing. We buy raw materials, we buy fuel. These two things are used in production process, especially for manufacturing. You have machinery that needs diesel. You have generator that needs fuel. It is part of your processing of material, food, goods. Yes or no? So these things have to be measured. So the price of those things is called the input price. Do you understand the input price here? As soon as those products are being produced, they leave the factory gate. And when leaving the factory gate, the amount you spend before they leave the factory gate is called the output price. The goods will be produced in these premises. So the amount we spend when producing these goods in these premises is input. The cost of raw materials we purchase and the price of fuel that we use when we are processing those raw materials. That is input price. Then the output price talks about the factory gate price. So for the factory gate price, I wrote, this is the price of goods sold by manufacturers in the domestic market, and it includes the cost of labor and other costs incurred. So here, the product is going to leave the factory gate. It's going to leave the premises of the product producers or the manufacturers to the hands of the wholesaler. So the amount, the cost we spend to ensure that we are able to give these products to the wholesaler is the factory gate price. Do you understand what factory gate price is here? We're talking about the cost of labor, those that make the products available for us, the cost of raw materials used, whatever we incur, whatever cost we incur to ensure that the product can live to be sold is what we call factory gate price. Is it clear? Is it clear, please? Yes. So what do we use the PPI for? Number one, it is used as an indicator for future trend in inflation. We would know if inflation rate has increased or not. We will know if the inflation rate has increased or not. If producers have to spend more, you know we said here, they're going to buy fuel and raw materials, right? So if producers here, they spend more on fuel and raw materials than they used to spend, it means in the future, the price of goods produced by those manufacturers will increase. Do we get the point? Fair producers will spend on raw materials and fuel. If the amount they spend on raw materials and fuel continues to rise, it definitely means that there's going to be inflation in the future. That's why they said it is used as an indicator for future trend in inflation. Because these two things will produce what we are going to consume, what we're going to buy. If the cost is high for them, if they continue to buy it at a higher price, at an higher cost, if they have to spend more on them, then in the future, if they have to produce them, they will sell it at a higher price. Inflation will occur. Two, through the CPI, if retailers have to pay more on the goods purchased, they may pass the higher cost on consumers. You know, we said there's a channel of distribution from the producer to the wholesaler, from the wholesaler to the retailer. With the future trend, we already know that producers, manufacturers are spending so much producing those products. So retailers that want to buy from wholesaler, whenever they know that they have to pay so much to get the products, they have to pay so much to get the products from retailers and from wholesalers, what do they have to do? They transfer the price, they pass on the price to the consumers. So they will not be the retailers will not be the only one paying for that price. The goods are expensive now from the manufacturers. The manufacturers have sold it on a higher price to wholesalers. Wholesalers will sell it at a higher price to retailers. Retailers will sell it at a higher price to consumers. So retailers will know that the price at which they are buying now is high. So they pass on the price, the higher cost, to consumers. So that's why sometimes You buy some things today at a lower rate, and tomorrow it becomes higher. Like what really happens? They still have the product, the retailers have the product in stock.